You're from Montana.
Look, everywhere I go in Montana, I hear the same thing from my state's business owners, the job creators of our great state, and that they need more workers. They need more highly skilled workers. They need more welders and bricklayers and heavy machine operators, laborers, the list goes on and on. And I will tell you that I think it's the biggest limiting factor to moving our economy forward is a well-trained workforce. These businesses pay living wage jobs to these folks who are able to fill them if they have the skills to fill them. And so that's why I was so appalled. No, that wouldn't hurt, would it? I would start over, but I'll save the president's ears. And that's why I was so appalled when the Trump administration recklessly and cluelessly moved to close so many successful Job Corps programs across this country. Well, we've heard that there's some sort of reprieve for the Anaconda Job Corps. We have not received word that actually means that it is going to stay open, or any of the other job corps across this country, 16 of which were scheduled for privatization and 9 which were out-and-out closures, will stay open. In Montana's case, we have 2 successful civilian conservation corps programs, the Anaconda Job Corps and the Trapper Creek Job Corps. The Anaconda Job Corps, of course, is in Anaconda, Montana. The Trapper Creek Job Corps is in Darby. And these 2 job training centers play an active role in our state's economy. We have a foundry in Butte, America, Butte, Montana. It's called Montana Precision Products. Mike Robbins is a co-owner of that. This company has hired more than 50 Job Corps graduates in recent years alone, more than 50. Most of which, if not all, were from the Anaconda Job Corps. He's promoted these folks, some of them, from entry level to mid-level managers. So when Mike and his brother Bert need high-skilled employees, the first place they look is the Job Corps. Why? Because these folks come out with a skill set that fits their needs. Now you may ask, who's going into the Job Corps? Okay, these are at-risk folks, okay? These are folks that are having a hard time with life and hard time getting a job. And they go in the Job Corps, young people, and they give them a skill that they can use in the private sector. A skill that if the Trump administration has their way, they will no longer be able to receive. They will be at risk. They will not be well trained. They will, in fact, probably end up in some sort of government program instead of contributing to our economy. And this is what the Job Corps allows them to do. Needless to say, they also provide incredible work in our forests. Fighting fires, helping clean up our forests. It's just amazing to me. It's amazing the short-sightedness of this decision to privatize 16 and close 9 Job Corps across this country. We've heard from one of his graduates, I've heard from many of his graduates, by the way, of the Job Corps in Anaconda and down in Darby at Trapper Creek. One of the graduates named Joey Huff. Joey told me the Job Corps saved her life, changed it. Before her time in the Job Corps, Zoe lived with her parents, wasn't sure what direction she wanted to take in life. She went through the Job Corps, and now she has a CDL, which is a commercial driver's license. She has that and the certificates that make her an employee that is valued. And someone that businesses across this country, because I don't think Montana is an exception, are competing against each other to hire. The Job Corps gave her the training and the life tools that she needs to succeed. But Joey's story is not unique. My office has been flooded with stories like hers. And I encourage folks who have been impacted by the Job Corps to share their story on my website. I recently heard from Carl in Montana. Carl's father enrolled in the Job Corps nearly 50 years ago. That one-year investment in Carl's father provided him with a career that has lasted him for 45 years. It allowed him to raise 5 children and help support 11 grandchildren. It was a good investment because 4-year colleges are great, but they're not for everybody. There are some folks who would rather work with their hands and sit at a desk. These are the folks that shower after work, not before work. And I can relate with these folks. But without important resources like the Job Corps, we're making it harder and harder for young people in rural areas to be access to job training that they need to be able to succeed in this 21st century economy. If the President tries again to close the Job Corps, not only will it immediately reduce the amount of well-trained workers in rural America, but it will also kill dozens of good-paying jobs in these small communities that help support the Job Corps. It's a double punch in the gut that our rural counties have not felt in a long, long time, decades. And once they're closed, by the way, and the one in Anaconda has been open since 1966. Once they're closed, it'll be hard to get them back. So when I received the news about the Job Corps 10 years ago, I urged Secretary Perdue, the Secretary of Agriculture, and Labor Secretary Alex Acosta to reverse course. Senator Boozman is on board to help reverse this short-sighted and irresponsible decision. I'm proud to work with him, Senator Merkley, on this issue and appreciate his work to protect Job Corps in rural America. But we can't do this alone, and it's why I along with Senator Boozman, are introducing bipartisan legislation that will reverse the administration's action to close Job Corps not only in Montana but across this country. And I'm going to continue to fight until we get a firm promise from this administration that these Job Corps centers are going to be around for years to come. And we'll be introducing legislation to block closures and prevent these critical employment centers from being subject to the whim of a president that doesn't know what's going on in rural America. My bill will prohibit the use of appropriated funds in fiscal year 2019 and 2020 to close any civilian conservation centers. It will also prohibit any agency secretaries from changing the interagency agreement that facilitates the operation of civilian conservation corps, thus preventing the privatization of these programs. Look, the administration's decision to close these, whether it's in Montana or Arkansas or any other place, will negatively impact those states in the whole country. So it is my hope that this administration will open their eyes and see what's really going on in this country. Because quite frankly, Job Corps has worked for decades and decades and decades. It has produced people who are valuable assets to the business community and raise families and help support our economy and are part of the fabric of this great country. Yet this administration, through their goal of making America great again, has forgot about things that make America great and have made America great. So whether it's businesses like Mike Robbins and Bert Robbins' business, or whether it's students that go through this program like Zoe, we need everybody in this chamber, everybody, Democrats and Republicans alike, because we're smarter than this, to make sure we have Job Corps around for our next generation and generations after. With that, Mr. President, I yield the floor. Madam President, I yield the floor.